Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandot Pranam to everyone. Thank you for joining the session today. Today's Srimad Bhagavatam session, which is second canto, ninth chapter, part 2. So we'll do 2 minutes kirtan and then we will start the session. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivardhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivardhari, Yashodhanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana, Yashodhanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva, Subhadramai Jaya Sudarshana, Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai, Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya 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 Prabhupada Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev Gurudev, Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Shri 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 Jagannath Baldev Subhadramaya Sudarshana Bhagavan ki jai, Shri Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Mata Bhagavan ki jai, Shri 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 Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Shri Panchatattva ki jai, Shri Shri Nitai Chaitanya Bhagavan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So, dear devotees, we will be first of all, thank you for joining for the Bhagavatam session, everyone. Thank you so much on this Saturday morning. We'll just go for a 2-minute recap of what we discussed in the previous chapter, and the previous part, and then we will head into today's session. So, in chapter 8, part 1 and part 2, Parikshit Maharaj was asking a lot of questions to Sukadeva Goswami, right? So he was asking, explain the transcendental qualities of the Lord, right? Now, which are not affected by the 3 modes of material nature, and also explain the narrations concerning the Lord, and also how important the sound incarnation, which is Srimad Bhagavatam. Why? Because it cleanses the dust within all the living entities who are conditioned, and also how the Lord is different from material body, and also how is the Lord in everyone's heart still be untouched by his external energy, and also how the different modes of material nature act on living entities. Also, he asks, explain the Varnashrama Dharma, and also explain different ages in duration of creation, right? Activities of different incarnations of the Lord in different ages. Also explain the elementary principles of creation and how the living entities are created, maintained, and annihilated. And in chapter 9, which we are discussing in the part 1, so Parikshit Maharaj is asking how Brahmaji, we heard how Brahmaji hears the 2 syllables, ta, pa, and he goes into penance for thousands of years, which is of demigod duration, and thousands of years. And then what happens? Lord becomes very much satisfied, and he manifests himself not just by himself but also with his total transcendental abode. So Brahmaji sees the inhabitants of Vaikuntha planets and how the goddess of fortune is serving the Lord, and Brahmaji becomes overwhelmed, right? And he bows down with tears. And also we heard about the importance of penance, right, as said by the Lord himself. So today we will start discussing from part 2, chapter 9. So let us offer prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Dasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Itinamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvesesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayam Udhirande Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining the session today. So now Brahmaji is started talking. Brahmaji says, Bhagavan Sarva Bhutanam Adhyaksho Vastito Guham Vedaihi Apratirudhena Prajnanena Chikirshitam. So here, one very important thing Brahmaji is saying is that you can all hear me clearly, right, Prabhuji? Anandarika Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu, clear.
Thank you. Thank you, Hare Krishna. So Lord Brahma is saying, "Oh, personality of Godhead, you are situated in every living entity's heart as the supreme director, and therefore you are aware of all endeavors by your superior intelligence without any hindrance whatsoever." So here the Lord is telling, Brahmaji is saying, you are situated in everyone's heart, and you're the witness, and you're also the sanction. It's like Srila Prabhupada is giving an example. It is that in a prohibited area, right, habituated drunkards will be there, right? So what happens is they give an application to the director of drinking, and the director considers his case and sanctions only a certain amount of liquor for drinking, like that. So everybody, here Srila Prabhupada is saying, the whole material world is full of many drunkards. And in that sense, what do they want to do? Each and everyone, all the living entities, what do they want to do? They have something in their mind to enjoy, and everyone desires the fulfillment of these desires very strongly. For example, a father and son are there. The son is asking, "Oh, I want that, I want this." What does the father do? It depends, like how much the stubborn the kid is, according to that the father will give, right? In the same way here also, all the living entities have come here. Why they have come here? They want to become the Lord, right? They want to enjoy like the Lord. They were envious in Goloka. They were envious. Oh, Lord is creating, procreating, controlling, enjoying. He is doing everything. He has so many opulences. I don't have any. What are the 6 opulences? Wealth, power, fame, beauty, wisdom, renunciation. So where everybody want, here we can see, right? These 6 wealth, power, fame, and beauty, wisdom, renunciation, all these 6 fields, they make more money in this world. So that's why the Lord has said, no, you can't become me. So you go, and he sends us to this material world, right? Mamavamsho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatana manashashtan indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. So we have come here. So that's why the Lord also, according to our desires, he sanctions. like the father and a son example. So here also, but the thing is, we have to understand, nobody derives any profit out of this enjoyment. Srila Prabhupada is saying the drunkard also, yes, enjoyment might be there, but later there is a lot of hangover, liver problems, so many problems will be there, and he gets addicted, he can't concentrate, his intelligence goes away, so many problems will be there. So here also, Srila Prabhupada is saying, this drinking, because of this drinking habit, he doesn't want to, like, he does not wish to get out of it. But here the merciful Lord gives him facilities to fulfill such desires. And the impersonalists, what do? What do you think? They say, oh, we should become desireless. So it's not possible for a soul, for if it becomes desireless, that means it is dead, right? Actually the soul doesn't die, only the body dies. So right, so the soul always has some desires. So the only thing is, in which way we have to turn those desires, that is more important. So so here the impersonal is saying that, oh, we will become desireless, or we'll banish all the desires altogether. That is not correct. That statement is not correct, Srila Prabhupada is saying. And also, what is the right way of desire? Perfection of desires may be achieved when one desires to serve the Lord, and the Lord also desires that every living entity banish all personal desires and cooperate with his desires. That's what Lord wants us to do. And what happens here? Oneness with the Lord, therefore, consists of dovetailing one's desires with the desires of the Lord, and that is the perfection of all desires, right? And he is within everybody's heart, right? He as a super soul, the Lord is there in everybody's heart. Sarvasya chaham hridisannivisto. So he is within the heart of all the living entities, and he knows what is in the mind of every living entity, and no one can do anything without the knowledge of the Lord within. So that the Lord is saying. And also, because of his super intelligence, here it is said the super intelligence means prajnanena. He is prajnanena. So with this super intelligence, what happens is he gives everyone a chance to fulfill his desires to the fullest extent, but the resultant reaction is also awarded by the Lord. That we have to understand here. So in the next shloka 26, tatapi natha manasya natha nathaya nathitam paravare yatha rupe jani yam tattva arupinaha. Now Brahmaji is saying, in spite of that, my Lord, I am praying you to kindly fulfill my desire. May I please be informed how, in spite of your transcendental form, you assume the mundane form, although you have no such form at all. So the Brahmaji is asking, you don't have a mundane form. You actually have only a transcendental form, but you are taking a mundane form, although you don't have that such mundane form at all. Oh, why are you doing this? So like that, Brahmaji is asking, because impersonalists, what do they say? Oh, the Lord doesn't have any form, like that, right? So to abolish their misinterpretation, Brahmaji is saying this. And also the reason why the Lord is taking all form in this material world, because he says janma karma chame divyam evam yomo iti tatvaha tyaktva deham punarjanmanaiti mameti so Arjuna. So if you understand my janma and my karma, my activities, my leelas and my janma, they are all transcendental. And when you know about this, what will happen? You will come back to me without any doubt. So that is the reason why he comes, is to understand, to make us understand, because he has killed Putana, who was smeared with poison, and him being such a small child, he didn't die. Generally, if we take poison, we die, right? But he didn't die. In the same way, he killed Aghasura, Trinavarta, so many demons. For example, what happened with Trinavarta? Trinavarta takes the child Krishna to the nearer to the sky, nearer to the clouds, and there Krishna becomes so heavy he can't lift, and both of them fall down. Trinavarta dies, but nothing happens to Lord Krishna. So here the Lord is saying, the reason why I come to this material world is because to tell my capacity, what is my capacity and what is your capacity, to let you know, you have come here to come, you were envious of me, right? So to tell you, to make you understand, oh, you cannot compete with me. My capacity is different, your capacity is different. I am always the master, you are the servant. But in a Here the Lord is saying, not in a forceful position. He's not tying us up and taking us away. He's giving us different chances to make us understand. And also why he is coming down. Another reason, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkritam dharma samsthapanardaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So to protect the devotees and to vanish the demonic mentalities. He is coming every yuga and yuga. So that is the reason. And here, and also Brahmaji is saying, and please inform me how you by your own self manifest different energies for annihilation, generation, acceptance, and maintenance by combination and permutation. So here the Brahmaji want to know how his energies are working. So here Srila Prabhupada is saying the whole manifestation is the Lord himself by diffusion of his different energies only, namely the internal, the external, and the marginal energies. So what are these three energies? Let us talk a little. So the first one is Antaranga Shakti. What is this Antaranga Shakti? It's called internal potency. The second one is Tatastha Shakti, means the marginal potency. Who is that? It is us, the living entities. They are the marginal potency. And they are, and where does the living entity situate? They are situated between the internal and the external potencies. Yet living entity is spiritual. We have to understand that. And the third one is Bahiranga Shakti or Maya Shakti, or the external potency. It is called illusion, which consists of creative activities, which is karma. So here we have to understand sunshine and sunlight might be same, but when sunshine is there, we understand it is coming through sun planet, like that. In the same way, from transcendental, here also the energies of the Lord are acting upon the combination and permutation by the indication of the Lord. And who are the acting agents? They are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. What do they do? One creates, one maintains, and the other one destroys. So we have to understand that Lord is different from such manifestive activities. Right? Everything is coming from the Lord. That we have to understand here. Now, the next one is next shloka. Here, Brahmaji is asking one more question. Oh, master of all energies, please tell me philosophically all about them. You play like a spider that covers itself by its own energy, and your determination is infallible. So here, Brahmaji is asking, you have so many, all these energies are there, but they are not affecting you. How is that possible? Like that, Brahmaji is asking. So here, the agents, what do they? We just discussed that, right? So Brahmaji is creating, Vishnu is maintaining, and Lord Shiva is destroying. But here, so we have to understand. The spider is there. What does the spider do? It creates and it maintains, right? It is maintained by the spider. But as soon as spider likes, what does it do? The whole thing wound up within the spider, and the spider is covered within the web. So if an insignificant spider is so powerful, if it can do that, why not the supreme being? That Srila Prabhupada is saying like this in the purport. So by the grace of the Lord, a devotee like Brahma or one in his chain of disciple succession can understand Almighty Personality of Godhead eternally engaged in his transcendental pastimes in the region of different energies. So here we will just have a small example. Here one cobbler and a Brahmana, they were at one place. So they both see Narada and they ask. Narada tells them, oh, I'm going to the Lord. Do you have any questions? Like that he asks. So the cobbler asks first, tell me what the Lord is doing. And then and the Brahmana asks, will I go back home back to Godhead or not? So these two questions they ask. And Narada, you ask this like this to the Lord. So Narada goes and he asks the Lord, oh, see, the cobbler and the Brahmana are asking these questions. So, and the Lord says, the Brahmana will never come back home back to Godhead. It will take time for him. But the cobbler will come back very soon. Like that, the Lord says. And then Narada comes back and he tells the Brahmana, you're not going back home back to Godhead this soon. It will take time. But then he goes to cobbler and he says, what is the Lord doing? So the cobbler asked, right? So he says, the Lord is taking an elephant through the eye of a needle. So cobbler says, yeah, there is nothing wrong with that. He can do it. If a small seed, if we put a small seed in the earth and it comes out as a big tree, The Lord can do that also. What is the problem with that? Like that, the cobbler has faith, but Brahmana gets he feels little like suspicious. Oh, how can this be possible? So that's why then they understand. Oh, the Brahmana understands. Oh, that's the reason I don't have proper faith. That's why the Lord. That's why I'm not going back to order soon, like that. So, but the cobbler is in a proper faith. He has the faith on the Lord. In the same way, we have to understand the energy acts. The external energy acts on us, but not in himself, even though it is created by him. So we have to understand like that. And next, another question by Brahmaji. He's asking, please tell me so that I may be taught in the matter by the instruction of the personality of Godhead and may thus act instrumentally to generate living entities without being conditioned by such activities. So what happens is generally, the moment we do something, we take credit for that, right? So when we take credit, what happens? We get conditioned. So here Brahmaji is worried. Oh my God, I'm going to create. I'm going to give bodies to all these soul, all these living entities. Now, what if I feel pride? I don't want to get pride. So he's asking, oh, how can I get out of that pride? How I don't want to be conditioned, because if he gets conditioned again, we have to stay in this material world only. So Brahmaji is asking, I don't want to be conditioned. So here Srila Prabhupada is saying, conditioned soul is instrumental in the hands of external energy, which is Gunamayi Maya, or the illusory energy of the Lord. And in the liberated state, the living entity is instrumental to the will of the personality of Godhead directly. So we have to understand like that. And here Brahmaji doesn't want to become a speculator dependent on the strength of his personal knowledge and conditioned to material bondage. So here Srila Prabhupada is saying everyone should know this clear consciousness that one is in the execution of all activities and instrument. We're just an instrument, like that. See, generally what happens, we achieve so many things. Even in a devotion service, we should always understand that we are just an instrument, right? So and to be instrumental to the direct will of the Lord is the natural constitutional position of the living entity. And if we become an instrument in the hands of illusionary energy, what will happen is a material bondage for the living entity, like that Srila Prabhupada is saying. And here he's also saying, Srila Prabhupada is saying, in the unconditioned state, the living entity directly receives knowledge from the Lord. But and what happens? Such a liberated soul, how they do their work flawlessly and without any speculative habit, right? So, and what happens? So much so that the devotee unwaveringly makes progress in the path of back to Godhead. So here he's saying we should be an instrument. We should understand that everything is coming from the Lord. Then it will be easy for us to go back to Godhead. But what happens to a non-devotee? The non-devotee speculator is in a darkness of illusionary energy and very much proud of his misleading knowledge, and based on the speculation without any definitive path. So that's why Lord Brahma wanted to be saved from this pitfall of pride, although he was posted in the most exalted position within the universe. So that's why, see, Lord Brahma is understanding that he doesn't want, he is creating such a big thing, but another direct instruction from the Lord, but still he want to get out of the pride. In the same way, we should also get out of the pride. It's very important. So and next Brahmaji is saying, oh my Lord, the unborn, you have shaken hands with me just as a friend does with a friend, as if equal in position. I shall be engaged in the creation of different types of living entities, and I shall be occupied in your service. I shall have no perturbation, but I pray that all this may not give rise to pride, as if I were the supreme. So here what happens is, after Brahmaji does so much of penance, the Lord becomes so happy and he's asking all wonderful questions. So the Lord gives, like, he shakes hand with Lord Brahma. So Brahmaji, and generally I heard somewhere that Michael Jackson, when he was doing some concert, one person, he gave handshake to one person, and that person didn't bathe for 21 days. So see, it's a big achievement, Lord is giving shake hand to Brahma. It's a very big achievement. In the same way, and what is the relation between here and Lord Brahma and Brahmaji and Lord? It is the humor of friendship with the Lord. So what we have to understand is there are 5 different transcendental humors. What are they? Shanta, Dasya. Shanta means neutral. Okay, Dasya means servitor. Sakhya means friendship. Vatsalya means parental. Madhurya means conjugal love. See, these are the 5 different transcendental humors. And Brahma here is related in the transcendental humor of friendship. So here now, and here it Srila Prabhupada is also saying, yeah, a person, someone might be in a humor of parenthood also, but we should always understand that the devotee of the Lord is always transcendental servitor. Yes, parenthood means you're the father and you're seeing the Lord as your son, but we should always be in the mood of a transcendental servitor. No one is equal or greater than the Lord. That is the version of Bhagavad Gita. So that's why here we have to understand that it is very important. So the reason why we came here was envious, right? So the Lord here, we are understanding. Srila Prabhupada is also saying that we can never be equal to the Lord. So how can we compete with him? It's not possible. So that's why when we surrender, with that knowledge, we will go back to Godhead. So that is very important. And now generally what happens, for example, a lot of devotees, they do bhakti ruksha and all. So we shouldn't understand. We shouldn't think, oh, this bhakti ruksha has increased because of me. So that shouldn't be the case. You should always understand this, the mercy of the Lord, through the mercy of the Lord. Otherwise, it will become a subtle pride. And pure devotees don't have that pride at all. So Prabhupada is saying that. And also sometimes what happens is the Lord, he gives some extreme power to different personalities, right? For example, Hanumanji, what did Hanumanji do? He crossed the Indian Ocean by jumping over the sea. And what did Lord Sri Ramachandra do? He engaged himself in marching over the bridge. But that doesn't mean that Hanumanji is more powerful than the Lord. So Hanumanji never thought, oh, I did the bridge. No, he always said, Jai Sri Ram, like that. He always gave credit to the Lord. In the same way, we should also not take credit. Otherwise, what will happen? We'll become conditioned and will become prideful. Like that, Srila Prabhupada is saying. And also, all the power belonging to the personality of Godhead, right? So, and devotee is only an instrument. Like that, a devotee always thinks that he's just an instrument. And here, there are 2 things. Here, the first illusion, when we become pride, the illusionary energy offered, the first illusion is that he wants to become the Lord of the material world by accumulating wealth and power. But when he is frustrated in that attempt, like, see, we try to, a lot of people say, oh, I want to become the Lord, I'm the Lord, like that, right? So I'm God. But the thing is, they become so much affected by the material world, then they get to they go to the little lower level. That means he will say, oh, let me become one with the Lord. So they go at a little lower level. So that's why here, both becoming the most powerful man in the material world and desiring to become one with the Lord are different illusionary snares. We have to understand that it is illusionary snare. And because the pure devotee of the Lord are surrendered souls, they are above the Lord snares of Maya. For example, if we are going on a very hot sun on the very good road, what will happen? We see a mirage sort of thing. We think there is some water sort of thing, but there is no water there. In the same way, here illusionary, these 2 people who think that, oh, I want to become one with the Lord, I want to become the Lord, like that, they get into the illusionary snare of Maya. We should understand that. So that's why people with poor fund of knowledge should take lessons from Brahma when they are purified, when they are puffed up with the false notion of becoming God. So, and also, Srila Prabhupada is saying he is conscious that he is only instrumental, so that he may not think of himself as the supreme powerful Lord. Now, and also here, Srila Prabhupada is saying they carry out, all the devotees, what they do is, some duties is given to them, and they successfully carry out without hindrance because they are ordained by the Lord. That's why, see, so that's why devotees shouldn't think that, oh, I have done something, because he has been ordained by the Lord. That's why he has been given that chance to finish the what he has started. So that's why the credit of success goes not to the doer but to the Lord. And the poor, what does the poor fund of knowledge, people with poor fund of knowledge do? They take the credit of success into their own accounts and give nothing to the credit of the Lord. That is the symptom of non-devotee class of men. See, so if we take credit, so the Srila Prabhupada is saying we are not devotees. Next 31 from personality of Godhead. Now the Lord is talking. The personality of Godhead said, knowledge about me as described in the scriptures is very confidential, and it has to be realized in conjunction with the devotion service. The necessary paraphernalia for that process is being explained by me. You may take it up carefully. So here Lord Brahma is asking, so the person, Lord Brahma has asked some questions, right? So personality of Godhead is replying in 4 principal inquiries. What are they? Brahma's questions: what are the forms of the Lord, both in matter and in transcendence? How are the different energies of the Lord working? How does the Lord play with his different energies? And how may Brahma be instructed to discharge the duty entrusted to him? So we saw, right, different energies. What are they doing? They are creating, maintaining, and destructing. And also, Lord play with his different energies, right? And like we have seen, the energy is there, external energy, but it is not affecting him in the example of a spider. And also, Brahma is instructed to discharge the duty entrusted to him. Why? He's saying you're not the doer, and he doesn't want to be conditioned. So we'll discuss about this even more in the coming shlokas. And also here, here the Lord, Srila Prabhupada is saying one very important thing. All these things are explained in the scriptures, and they are very subtle, and they cannot be understood unless one is self-realized by the grace of the Lord. So here it is very important to understand that we might want to learn about the Lord, but without the grace of the Lord, we cannot understand. And also, this means the transcendental knowledge of the absolute supreme being can be known if it is known by the Lord himself. So what happens to these people who do mental speculation? They cannot understand anything. The Lord is saying like that. And that's why it is called supreme confidential wisdom. And here the other thing that we have to understand is personality of Godhead may be attained by devotional service only. Rahasyam means that is the Rahasyam means that is the devotion service. And Lord Krishna instructed Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita because he found Arjuna to be a devotee and a friend. Friend means what? Friend means because there is no envy. Between friends, there is no envy. That's why the Lord has instructed Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So that's why we should not have envy on the Lord. And next, it is also, Srila Prabhupada is also saying, one cannot understand the personality of Godhead unless one becomes a devotee and discharges devotion service. This mystery of love of Godhead, and also attain the stage of transcendental love of Godhead, regulative principles of devotional service must be followed. This is very important. Regulative principles of devotional service must be followed. Otherwise, we cannot understand the Lord. And here, what are the two things? Two things that are important is hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord is very important. And this should be done made possible in the association of devotees only. Lord Chaitanya, what does Lord Chaitanya say? There are 5 principles for attaining perfection in the devotional service of the Lord. What are the 5? The first is association of devotees. Hearing, we have to do hearing in the association of devotees. Second is chanting the glories of the Lord. Third, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the pure devotee. Fourth, residing in the holy place connected with the Lord. And fifth, worshipping the deity of the Lord with devotion. Such rules and regulations are parts of devotion service. Then only, when we get to this stage, then we can understand the Lord very quickly. Now, next one, the Lord is saying, all of me, namely my actual eternal form and my transcendental existence, color, qualities, and activities, let all be awakened within you by factual realization out of my causeless mercy. So here we have to understand one thing. Secret of success in understanding the intricacies of the knowledge of the absolute truth is the causeless mercy of the Lord. For example, if you see a father and son are there, if a father has a lot of kids, what does the father do generally? He will be very close to the kid who he likes, right? And he will tell a lot of things to him. First, he give preference to him. Anything he want to say, he will say to him only, because he's a pet son. In the same way, when we do proper devotion service, like for example, Brahmaji did a lot of penance, and what happened? Lord became happy with him, right? That's why he appeared along with his transcendental kingdom, right? So transcendental everything abode. And what did he do? He shook hand with Brahma. In the same way, here also, if we do our bhakti properly, then the Lord will definitely make us understand the intricacies of the absolute truth of the personality of Godhead. So we can understand Him only after doing proper devotion service. The Lord is saying like that. And here, once advancement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord can make one eligible to know the Lord. Why? Because the Lord is unlimited. We can't understand Him. That we have to understand here. And next one, the Lord, and also here, Lord is saying the Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to everyone. He keeps Himself concealed from the faithless by His Yoga Maya potency. So to the faithful, only to the faithful, He will reveal Himself. How? In the form of Nama, Rupa, Guna, and Leela. And also, the Lord discloses His form even to the extent of measurement to His pure devotees, right? So to the degree of our surrender, He will let us know that much. To that degree, that much we will know about the Lord. And also some devotees, some poor people, poor fund of knowledge people, what do they think? Oh, the Lord is formless. No. Here people may say that form, Lord is formless. But here we have to understand that form is always there. Transcendental form is always there to the Lord. And here, next one is, even in Brahma Samhita, the Lord, Brahmaji is saying, Lord has transcendental form, and that He can utilize any one of His senses for any purpose. So what can the Lord do? He can eat with His eyes, and He can see with His leg, like that. But in the mundane conception form, can we do that? No, it's not possible. And what is the spiritual body? It is made of Satchitananda Vigraha. Satchitananda Vigraha. A spiritual body is not formless. It is different type of body which cannot conceive with our present mundane senses. So we have to understand that. Formless means devoid of mundane form. That means we have to understand that the Lord doesn't have. He might come to this material world, but that form is not His. He has a different transcendental form that we have to understand. But these people who are with poor fund of knowledge, they think that Lord also has a mundane form. So here we have to understand is the Lord doesn't have a mundane form. His form is transcendental. Next, and also here, when Brahmaji sees the transcendental abode, he sees all the transcendental bodies of the Lord are blackish, whitish, yellowish. They have, some of them are having four-handed, two-handed fish and the lion, so like that. So the transcendental forms, he asked, right? First question was about the transcendental forms. So he's telling, oh, these are the forms. And how can this be disclosed? Only by the mercy of the Lord. And there are unlimited numbers of transcendental qualities. One of them is His affection for His unalloyed devotee, right? Narsimhadev Bhagavan. We have seen he comes to help save Prahlad Maharaj. So, and why he comes? Lord incarnates Himself for the protection of His devotees and for the annihilation of the faithless. And the problem with the non-devotees is they don't have any knowledge of the pastimes, and they don't have faith in these pastimes also. What else the Lord did? What else the Lord did here? The Lord lifted Govardhana hill when He was only 7 years old to protect the pure devotees at Vrindavan from the wrath of Indra, right? Overflooding with rain. And what else He did? When people were seeing this, it was unbelievable for them. For the faithless, for them it was totally unbelievable. But for the devotees, it was absolutely believable. So that's why faithless people will never understand the Lord. Srila Prabhupada is saying that. And here, men with poor fund of knowledge do not know the Lord is the Lord eternally, and that one cannot become the Lord by meditation for millions of years and by mental speculation for billions of years. So that's why here we are talking about the importance of pure devotion service. So through pure devotion service and also the causeless mercy of the Lord, only then we can understand the Lord. Now, coming to the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So here we have Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, right? 10.8 to 10.11. Here we have Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. So here we have to understand one thing. Bhagavad Gita, Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita was, Lord said about it in 10th chapter, after 10 chapters, I mean after 9 chapters, he started explaining about as a revision, because people are like mandabuddhi, right? So as a revision, he gave this Chatushloki in Bhagavad Gita. But here in Srimad Bhagavatam, because it's a very vast study, right? So that's why the Lord is giving this in second canto itself. So here in second canto, ninth chapter, 33, 34, 35, 36, all these 4 slokas are Srimad Chatushloki Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So let us the 33 sloka is, the Lord is saying, I am there before creation started. He maintains the creation and he only remains after the annihilation of creation. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. So let us read the 33. Yeah, Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead. And after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. So here the Lord is saying one very important thing. I means there is a personality. There is some, what does the impersonalists do? Say, oh, here the Lord doesn't have any form. But here he is telling, I means a person, right? Sri Hari Prabhu is a person. Anandrupa Prabhuji is a person. Sri Hari Prabhuji is a person, right? In the same way, I is a person. And so he's telling to to Brahmaji that I am a person. So he is removing the conception of, defeating the concept of the impersonalists. And also, Nityo Nityana Chetaras Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidudati Kaman. So creator I and created I are both accepted. Here creator I means predominator and created I are predominated. Similarly, I is a creator and created I are plural. So for example, father is there, son is there, grandkids are there. They're all humans, but they're all not same. We have to understand like that. One cannot take the place of others, right? The grandson cannot take the place of the grandfather, right? So they're all different, but they're all humans. That is fine. So that's why Lord is a creator and we are all created. Like that we have to understand. Next, the impersonalists say that everything is impersonal, but here we are, Srila Prabhupada is saying, predominator I is absolute truth and he's a person, and Brahmaji is the predominated creation and is a person, but he is not absolute. So the difference between the creator and created is always there, but both the creator and created are of same quality, but quantitatively they are different. We have to understand like that. And also the impersonalists, what does the impersonalist say? That everything is void, but in the spiritual world, lots of transcendental variegatedness is there. What is the transcendental variegatedness? Four-handed residents are there with great wealth and prosperity. Even aeroplanes are there and other amenities for high-grade personalities. So we have to understand that it is not void. And also, we have to understand the other thing that we have to understand is here, there is no other cause of all causes than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should therefore follow the path of Brahma Sampradaya. Why? So from Brahmaji, it's coming to Narada and to Vyasadeva. And we have to come to a point to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the same way, right, instruction of pure devotees of the Lord are given to Arjuna and to Brahma in the beginning of creation. So that's why we have to understand that I means person, it's not like void, but we have to understand here. And also there are a lot of multifarious energies of the Lord, and the root of all of them is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one should be attached to the root, everything, or of everything, rather than bewildered by the branches of leaves. That is the instruction given in this verse. So in 34th shloka, O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. So here, we already saw, right? We shouldn't take credit for anything. Here the Lord is telling, if it is without relation to me, it has no reality. That is Maya. So the Lord is saying like that. So if we think that, oh, I am the creator, the father thinks he is the creator and maintainer. Mother also thinks I am the creator. I am giving I'm taking care of the family like that, right? Creator, proprietor, controller, enjoyer. So in that way, if the mother and father thinks like that, that means we are in illusion. So the mother and father should always understand it is just a temporary instrument. We are an instrument, and we should understand, yes, through this instrument we have created. After that, annihilation, yes, aging will be there, and death will also come. That if we understand that way, we are in the right path. Otherwise, we are in illusion. Srila Prabhupada is saying like that. And also, forgetfulness. There is always a relationship between the Lord, and forgetfulness of this prime relation with the Lord. And whenever things are accepted as real without being related to the Lord, that conception is called product of illusion energy. We are in Maya. Now, because nothing can exist without the Lord, it should be known that the illusionary energy is also an energy of the Lord. And that like when we give relation, if we are in relationship with the Lord, that is called Yoga Maya. And when we are in devoid of relationship, right, that is called Daivi Maya or Mahamaya, when we are in the wrong conception. So both the Mayas also have connections with the Lord, because nothing can exist without being related to him. So here we have to understand, Mai Sarvamidam Prodam Sutri Managanya Iva, right? So everything is there, but being supported by the Lord, right? In the same way, Maya Dhyakshena Prakriti Suyite Characharam Hetananekana Kauntaya Jagat Vipari Vartate. So, right? So everything, Maya Dhyakshena Prakriti is running, maintained through the Adhyaksha, by the direction of the Lord. So we should not that's why everything is related to the Lord, right? It's not us. We might be getting a lot of things from the market and making a lot of delicious things, but it is coming from Prakriti, and the Prakriti is, and we are maintaining the family. But we have to understand that everything we have to relate everything to the Lord. Otherwise, we should understand that we are in Maya only. For example, we have got a few years ago, there was COVID. What happened? People took granted about the oxygen. So what did the Lord do? We had to buy oxygen in cylinders, right? Because the oxygen levels were going down within the body. So that's why. So here, when we don't understand, when we don't relate to everything with the Lord will give us these things sometimes, or to make us remember, through the Lord only, so that we don't take things for granted, and we understand the value that we have to understand here. And also, the Lord and the living entities are individual personalities, and the personal features of both the Lord and the living beings cannot be abolished. And here, this is very important. The independence of the individual living entity is not real independence, but it is just a reflection of real independence existing in the Supreme Being of the Lord. So people think that generally it is, people think that, I'm independent, I'm not at all dependent. But can we stay with 2 minutes? If we close our nose, can we stay alive? No, we are always independent. So we should not think that we are independent. For example, a person may stay away from water one day. Yes, people do Nirjala on Ekadashi, but it's not easy, right? Somehow they do it, but next day what happens? Can they continue for the next another 24 hours? Very much not possible. So we have to take water, and also foodstuffs must be taken. So that's why we have to relate. We are not independent. That we have to understand here. We are not independent. So that's why we should always relate everything to the Lord. The persons with poor fund of knowledge, they become illusioned, and that's how they say, I'm away, I'm independent. But the thing is, because they're thinking like that because of the poor fund of knowledge. That's all. And also the doctors and all these great academics, what they do, the Srila Prabhupada is saying, you body is there, okay, a dead body is there. Can you make it alive? Yes, you're very intelligent, right? So you make it alive. You know everything, how the brain works. So you make that bring back the function of the mind. Can you do that? No, they can't do it, right? So Srila Prabhupada is saying, you might be intelligent, but there is a limit for intelligence for all these academicians. And here, how Maya is working. Srila Prabhupada is talking in this purport about how Maya works. So all such advancement of science and knowledge in the present context of material civilization is but an action of covering influence of the illusionary energy. So we have spoke about that. And now how it works? It works actually in two phases of existence. What is it? Covering influence and also throwing influence. So what is throwing influence? That is the illusory energy throws the living entity into the darkness of ignorance. And by covering influence, she covers the eyes of men with poor fund of knowledge about the existence of the Supreme Personal who enlightened the Supreme Individual Living Being, Brahma. So see, so there are two different types of covering. One is throwing influence, and the other one is covering influence. So throwing means it will make people stay away from the maybe devotees and temple. And the next one is covering influence. They will not understand the Lord at all. Like they will be away from the Lord. Even if we tell them, so there was once the beginning stages, my friend was asking me, oh, you talk about all these leelas of the Lord. Who saw the leelas? Who wrote all those things? He was asking like that in the beginning stages. So they get all such stupid doubts, So they don't believe in anything. So they are made to they get all that covering. So like that, and the Lord is telling in Bhagavad Gita 16.18 to 20, the demoniac persons who deny the existence of the Lord are thrown more and more into the darkness of ignorance, and thus demoniac persons transmigrate life after life without any knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's why I say what we have to understand is, if we don't believe in, like, say, for example, if the mother is telling he is your father, he is agreeing. He is not asking, can you do a test or anything like that, right? He is not asking. In the same way, tadvidi pranitpantena pariprashna sevaya upadekshantide jnanam jnanina tata darshanaha. So the spiritual master and all these great personalities, they have seen. So we have to ask them questions in a humble mode and learn. Otherwise, what will happen? We will be thrown into the ignorance. We have to understand that. And next, how we should understand all these things? We should understand through the disciplic succession only. I'm sorry, there is some construction going on over here. Sorry for that sound. So the aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajantema buddha bhava samanta. This is 10.8. The Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, first one. What does the Lord say? The Lord is the original source of all emanations, and everything that is created, maintained, and annihilated exists by the energy of the Lord. The same man who knows this is actually learned, and therefore he becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So that's why we have to understand, oh, the Lord is the creator, I am not the creator. Otherwise, what will happen? We will fall into Maya. Next. So here, the living entity represented by the living entities is the reflection of the Lord and never the Lord himself. So here we have to understand that we can never become the Lord. We are just the reflection of the Lord, right? And the existence of the living entity is dependent on the Supreme Lord, who is the original light. So that's why we have to understand why we have been thrown into this material world, to prove us wrong. Like, for example, people are, they take intoxication. What will happen? A person who is drinking little for happiness, he doesn't drink the same after some time. He increases the quota to get the same happiness. In the same way, cigarettes also. A person who is smoking, for example, one cigarette of some milligram, after some time, the tolerance level decreases. So what happens is he has to take 2 cigarettes of the same, or he has to increase the dose of the cigarette to get that happiness. So that's how this material world works. And this is why this is, because it is to prove us wrong, so that we realize, oh, I cannot enjoy away from the Lord. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Once we become totally bewildered, then we start asking questions. Oh, why is this happening to me? How the nature is working? Who is Lord? Who is God? Then when they see a devotee, they will take a book. Until then, they will not take the book. When they become totally bewildered, then they will take the book and they will start reading. So there are two things. Either you are sane and you read books and you learn, understand everything, or you become totally bewildered and then somewhere you see the book and it starts in our head. Oh, something is wrong. I am doing something wrong. So I should learn, right? And from there, they learn that they either they take the small books or the big books of Srila Prabhupada and they read and they understand, oh, I have come in, I'm in illusion. I'm enjoying in the wrong place. I should go back home, back to Godhead, like that. So that's how we should understand. So next one is text 35. Let me read it. Sorry, these purports are very big. Srila Prabhupada has given very big purports for all the Chatushlaki Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. So, O Brahma, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created and at the same time I am outside of everything. So generally what happens is when the people with less fund of knowledge, they think, oh, the Lord is in this material world. That means he will also age. He will also get old, and he will also die. He will also get diseases like that. People think like that. So that's why Lord is telling, I might have come here. I might be situated. For example, people will say, oh, Lord is situated as Paramatma in every body. So he is contaminated like that. So he will get influenced because of the material, three modes of material nature like that. So the Lord is telling clearly to them that I am outside of everything. All these things doesn't get affected to me, like that the Lord is saying. And also, he is there to see our intentions, karma, and to guide us. That's why he is there. It's not like he becomes he is there to get contaminated. No, the only thing is he is trying. He want to know each and every intentions, and he will see our karma, and also he want to guide us so that we can go back home, back to Godhead. And he doesn't get affected by the three modes. Less intelligent people think that I am here. Yes, that we have already discussed about this. So, and what is happening is the Lord is, where is the Lord? Lord is in each and every atom, every movable or immovable object. And at the same time, he sees personality of Godhead in his abode Golaka, enjoying eternal pastimes with his eternal associates, who are also expansion of his transcendental existence. So he is in the atom and he is in the Golaka also. So that is the greatness of the Lord. Can we be in different places at the same time? No. So we have to understand the capacity of the Lord and ourselves. And this is very important. The vision is the real mystery of the spiritual knowledge, as stated by the Lord in the beginning. Sarahasyam tad ankam cha. This mystery is the most confidential part of the knowledge of Supreme, and it is impossible for the mental speculators to discover by dint of their intellectual gymnastics. So we cannot understand. So how can we understand? Only when their eyes smeared, only by the pure devotees, when their eyes smeared with the ointment of love of Godhead, right? Always observe within their hearts, oh Govinda, Shyamsundara, with all transcendental qualities. Only when we do devotion service, when we become a bhakta, then only we can understand the Lord. Otherwise, it is not possible. And the vision of the devotee is not ordinary. It is purified by the process of devotional service. Only when we do devotional service, we can understand the Lord. And he can give mukti to anyone. It's not very hard for him to give mukti, but he rarely awards privilege of love of Godhead. We have to understand that. So that's why our penance should be perfect. Otherwise, we cannot become devotee. We already saw this, right? We have to follow the regulative principles of devotional service. Then only the Lord will become pleased, and then he will reveal himself to us. And he is telling, Lord, Srila Prabhupada is saying, just hear from me again about the most confidential part of the instructions in Bhagavad Gita. The same was confirmed by Brahmaji to Narada in the following words. So only by the devotion service, only by the Bhakti Yoga was disclosed to Brahmaji by the Lord himself. In the same way, when we do Bhakti Yoga, it will be known to us also. Now, here it is telling, Brahmaji is also explaining that this mystery, how did Brahmaji has narrated to Narada. Narada explained it to Vyasa. Vyasa explained it to Sukadeva Goswami. In this way, it is coming in a disciplic succession. We should also understand it, we should also understand it in the disciplic succession only. And the next one, the last sloka of the Srimad Bhagavatam Chatushloka is, a person who is searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search for it up to this in all circumstances, in all space and time, the both directly and indirectly. So the Lord is saying, become a devotee. So learn about me. First of all, learn about me. In the in 33rd sloka, he said, I am the creator and I'm always there, right? Creation is there, creation will go, but after annihilation also I'm there. Next one, he said, the Lord said, everything you make relation to me. If you don't relate to me, everything, that is Maya. And next one is, the energy is there, but outside of all, I create. So here the Lord is telling, now you have learned the importance of me, so start learning about me. So the Lord is telling, you should have that the inquisitiveness to learn about me, to start learning. Yes, I want to know about the Lord. Atato Brahma Jignasa, right? So all the culmination of Vedas is Atato Brahma Jignasa. We should understand the Lord, right? So here, men do not know that ultimate goal of life is Vishnu, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Because due to the being bewildered by the glaring reflection in the darkness, and as such, everyone is entering into the darkest region of material existence, driven by uncontrolled senses. So what's happening with the senses? Who the jiva want to be the bhokta, right? Bhoktaram yagntavasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam jnatam shanti machati. So Lord is telling, I am the bhokta, but the living beings, they have come here, they want to become bhokta. So two bhoktas cannot be there. Only one bhokta can be there, right? The Lord is the bhokta. We all know that. We have seen it until now. So, but how are we becoming bhokta? Through sense gratification. And the principal desire of the living entity is, here Srila Prabhupada is saying, is sex desire. So and the result is that in spite of all advancement of knowledge, the final goal of all activities of the living entities is sense gratification. Why? Because we want to become bhokta. So now what should we do then? Yes, we have become conditioned. So what should the living entity do? But here the real goal of life, and everyone should know it by inquiry, is put before a bona fide spiritual master, expert in the science of Bhakti Yoga, or from the living personality of Bhagavatam life. So we have to go to the spiritual master and we have to ask, yes, I have this problem. How can I fix it? Please tell me, right? We have already seen. Pariprashna sevaya, tadvidi pranipadena pariprashna sevaya, upadakshita jnanam jnanina tattvadarshana, because they have seen it. And who is the and how we should do sincere inquiries. We should do sincere inquiries with meek, right? In a very meek, humble manner, not like in a questioning manner. And why spiritual master? Because why a spiritual master? Because he is directly the representative of the Lord, and he is acknowledged in that disciplic succession. And what can the spiritual master do? Such a bona fide spiritual master is able to clear up the whole thing by evidence from revealed scriptures, both direct and indirect. If you see, generally, when we ask a question to our spiritual master, or when we are listening to some lectures, they say something like, how can this be known? How can you know this? So the Lord is telling them everything, because they have become a spiritual. They have totally, they have left their, they are not bhokta anymore. They are the servants of the Lord. So the Lord gives them the intelligence, and because of that only, they reveal so many things which we cannot even comprehend by ourselves. So that's why the spiritual master is so great. So that's why we should ask the questions from them, and in a meek and humble manner. Then we will learn about the Lord, how to get out of this sense gratification muck in our head, that Srila Prabhupada is saying that here. And also, the bona fide spiritual master is the most confidential representative of the Lord, and one must receive direction from the spiritual master in the same spirit that Brahmaji received it from the personality of Godhead, Krishna, Lord Krishna. So here, see, right, the Lord Krishna has told Brahmaji what should you do when you do the creation, don't become attached to it, all those things. In the same way, we should also approach the spiritual master to receive proper direction from him. And what does the spiritual master do? He never claims that he is the Lord himself. He always says he is the servant of the Lord. right? And the Lord, how we can find the Lord? Lord can be found only by the sincere student through the transparent medium of the bona fide spiritual master only. So we have to understand we should know the Lord by this way only. And now, the revealed scriptures give direction directly to this end. But because the bewildered living entities are blinded by the glaring reflection in the darkness, they are unable to find the truth of revealed scriptures. For example, I'll tell you one thing. When we are not in the association of devotees and we are reading Bhagavad Gita, we can't understand anything. We feel like, oh, this is correct, but it doesn't get into our head because we are not doing it in the association of devotees. So that's why we should, when we learn these things in the association of devotees and by begging a spiritual master properly in a humble way, not in a questioning way, but in a humble way, then we can understand those things. The muck in the head will clear. Our doubts will clear automatically. If we learn ourselves the Bhagavad Gita, we will be writing everything, but nothing will go into our head. That's why we should approach the spiritual master. Is very important. And the Lord is situated in the heart of all living beings as Paramatma, and he is controlling all of them in the material world under the agency of his eternal energy. Therefore, it is clearly mentioned that the Lord is the supreme controller and that the living entities are controlled by the Lord, right? So, for example, can we control the weather? We can't control anything, but we think we are the controller, right? For example, living entities, they come to this material world, they create, they appropriate. When you appropriate something, the moment you think you appropriate something, you think I am the controller, I can do whatever I want to do, right? That controlling attitude will come. And through that, they tend to gain enjoyment. The Lord is also controlling. He is enjoying. I am also controlling. I am enjoying. But his controlling gives him proper happiness. Our controlling gives only stress, BP, and all diseases, nothing else. So that's why here the Lord is telling, Lord is the supreme controller, and that living entities are all controlled by him. We have to understand that. And here now people may say, oh, we all have different attitudes. How can we mingle ourselves be associated with in devotion service? Now that's why 4 varnashrama dharmas are created. What are they? The Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. What are they? Brahmanas are situated on the face of the Lord. The Kshatriyas are situated on the arms of the Lord. Vaishyas are situated on the belt of the Lord, the navel part, and the Sudras are situated on the legs of the Lord. Because see, everyone cannot remember all the slokas. Everyone cannot work like a Kshatriya, protect like a Kshatriya. Everyone cannot work like a Vaishya. The Sudras, people who, you can't remember all the slokas, but Brahmanas, people are of that sort. They can remember. So still we can still be situated in one place and serve each other and become wonderful devotees, right? That's what we have to understand. It shouldn't be like everyone should become a Brahmana. Everyone cannot become MS Dhoni or Virat Kohli or Sachin Tendulkar, right? In the team, there are a lot of other members also, right? In the same way, here we should mingle each other according to our conditioning, and we should learn from each other, and we should do devotion service like that. Srila Prabhupada is saying. And here, very important, the great leaders in this human society, what are they doing? The ignorant of this great knowledge, they are ignorant, right? And of Bhakti Yoga, and are always engaged in ignoble acts of sense gratification, bewildered by the eternal energy of the Lord, and they are stubborn rebels against the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they never agree to surrender unto him, because they are fools, miscreants, and lowest type of human beings. So that's why if you see the great leaders we have got, what do? They're always ready to fill their pockets and their family. My family, right? And they always want to continue in the chair, or if they don't continue, they'll give it to their family members. That's it. So that's why they're ignorant. They can never understand the Lord, and they're rebels. They're becoming rebels. What will happen? They'll be thrown into even more ignorance. So here, Srila Prabhupada is saying, there is no utility in the dresses used for covering a coffin of a dead body, save getting false applause from the ignorant public. So therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam therefore says, again and again that without attainment of the status of Bhakti Yoga, all the activities of human society are considered absolutely failure. So everything is failure. Why? Because they will get another body, right? After, at that time, they, according to what they think at the time of that, they will get another body. Like there are 84 million species, right? According to their consciousness, like we have trees, aquatics, birds, four-legged animals, and so many other different types of right, trees and birds, etc., etc. So they will get body in those according to their consciousness, and slowly they will go higher and higher, right? Like that. So the function of the human body is to attain freedom from material bondage. But as long as one is fully absorbed in material activities, his mind will be overwhelmed in the whirlpool of matter. Thus, he will continue to engaged in the material bodies life after life. Now, the question comes, oh, what is the solution then to become absorbed in the transcendental name, quality, form, and activities of the Supreme Person, Vasudeva? And when we get to the path of absolute realization, frees from bondage of material contact and engagements in different bodies. So now the question comes. So here there is a very nice shloka, Padma Purana. Alodhya sarva shastrani vicharya cha puna puna idam ekam sunispannam dhyeyo narayana sada. By scrutinizingly reviewing all the revealed scriptures and judging them again and again, it is now concluded that Lord Narayana is the supreme absolute truth, and thus he only should be worshipped. See, all the Vedas, what are they saying? Lord Narayana must be worshipped. He is the Bhokta. But what are we trying to do through the senses? Sense gratification by becoming Bhokta. So that's why we should understand that we are not the Bhokta, and we are. It is this body is given to us to just to prove you cannot be independent. You cannot enjoy independent of the Lord. That's all. So now, the lowest human beings can be elevated to the highest stage of devotion service if they are trained by the bona fide spiritual master, well versed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. If the lowest can be elevated, what to speak of the highest? So that's why, say, if the lowest can be elevated, so that's why people are so intelligent sometimes, right? So they should take up this devotion service. Srila Prabhupada is saying that. And therefore, the devotion service of the Lord with perfect knowledge through the training of the bona fide spiritual master is advised for everyone. Now the question comes in Bhagavad Gita 9.30 and 32. Even if one person is fully addicted to all sorts of sinful activities, if he happens to be engaged in loving transcendental service of the Lord under proper guidance, he is to be considered the most perfect holy name without a doubt. And thus, by any person whatsoever and whosoever he may be, the less intelligent labor, the dull mercantile man, or even man lower than all these, can attain the highest perfection of the Lord by going back to Godhead, provided, this is the very important, he or she takes the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in all earnestness. Earnestness means tapatraya, like eagerness must be there. Eagerness, that's why the eagerness must be there. Without that, it becomes very hard. So the sincere eagerness is the only qualification that can lead one to highest perfectional stage of life. And unless and until such real earnestness is aroused, there is difference between cleanliness and uncleanliness, learning and not learning. Now, for example, fire is there, right? It touches the fire will act, right? Fire is there. If unknowingly or knowingly, if we touch, fire will act. In the same way, when we do devotion service, it will definitely purify the devotee of all sinful reactions. Like, for example, sun can sterilize all sorts of infections by its powerful rays in this way, right? So here, the person who does not move from the lotus feet of the Lord, he is actually called a pure devotee. So now here, in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying the pure devotees are convinced, attaining the association of the personality of Godhead, and thus they are engaged in transcendental loving service of the Lord. Now, for example, we have seen, now everywhere means in part of every creation of the Lord can be served by all the senses, even simply by the mind. Now, we are all reading 10th chapter every day, right? Opulences of the Absolute. Now, what did the Lord say? He's telling, see me in everything, see everything in me. He is telling different opulences to us, right? I'm in the lion, I'm in the water, I'm there, I'm here, I'm in the meru, I'm in the elephant, etc., etc. So many different ways he's telling us we can remember, so that we can understand, oh, in different ways also we can remember the Lord, and and not be enamored by the material, the sense gratifications, the urges in this material world. So that is the reason we are discussing the opulences in 10th chapter. Now, and there is another thing also. Whatever you may eat, you may offer the same to the Lord and be assured that he will return to the food after eating it himself. Right? Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti upahritam asnami priyatatmanaha. When we offer it to the Lord will have, he will have it, but we have to give it with love. And what will he do? He will bless us. He will remove the muck in our head, all the bad qualities within us. So, and next one, the shloka number. Now, for example, the luckiest people here, Srila Prabhupada is talking about the fortunate ones. Who are they? For instance, even in the wombs of their mothers, Maharaj Prahlad and Maharaj Parikshit worshipping the Lord, even in their very childhood, at the age of only 5 years, Dhruva Maharaj worshipped the Lord, right? Even in the full youth, Maharaj Amrisha worshipped the Lord. And even at the last stage of frustration, old age, Maharaj Dhritarashtra worshipped the Lord. So that's why being in a good family also helps us. And the power of devotion services, it will be helpful for us in any age. We have to start. That's he's saying. And the next 5, there are and the pure devotee. What does the pure devotee do? He refuses to accept all 5 different types of liberation. What are those 5 types of liberation? Yeah. Sayujya, Salokya, Sarshti, Samipya, and Sarupya. Sayujya means becoming one with the Supreme. Salokya means living on the same planet as the Lord. Sarshti means opulence of the devotee is as same as the Lord. Samipya, personal associate of the Lord. And Sarupya means the devotee has the same exactly features like the 4-handed form and all that, right? Except some 1, 2 or 3 that are found in the Lord that they won't have in Sarupya, but most of them they will have. But the devotee, what will the devotee do? He will not accept these 5 different types of liberation. So the devotee will always want to glorify the Lord and want to serve. They don't want to be like whatever we have discussed just now. And one should always remember his glories because that is the highest perfection stage. Now the question comes, how did Narada become such a wonderful devotee? Actually, Brahmaji had a lot of sons, right? Not 1 or 2, but many sons. 1 minute, sorry. Yes, the Brahmaji had a lot of sons. Who are they? The Dakshas, the Chatursanas, and Narada. Now, what happened? What did they gain out of here? What they did is, in 3 departments of human knowledge disseminated by the Vedas, namely fruitive work, transcendental knowledge, devotion, Devarshi Narada inherited from his father. What did they inherit? From Brahma, devotional service. He inherited devotional service. Whereas Daksha, what did he inherit? Fruitive work. And Sanaka Sanatana, etc., inherited from their father information about Jnanakanda. Now the question comes, why only Narada became a wonderful devotee? Because of his good behavior, obedience, meekness, and readiness to serve, render service unto the Father. So that's why we have to understand. And Narada is famous as the great sage. In what way is he famous? He has become spiritual master of many famous devotees. Who are they? Master of Prahlad, Dhruva, and Vyasa, down to the forest animal hunter, Kirata. So why he became like he became a wonderful devotee, but not the other 2? Because of his humbleness and meek being, and he was always controlling his senses. Therefore, all the features of Narada making the dearmost son of the Father, and all this is due to Narada being first-class devotee of the Lord. And the devotees are always anxious to know more and more about the Supreme Lord, master of all energies. Now, the great sage Narada also inquired in detail from his father Brahma, the great grandfather of all universe, after seeing him well satisfied. So here, the process of understanding spiritual is not exactly like asking ordinary questions from a schoolmaster. Here, we have to understand when we go to school, we ask some questions, and the spiritual master is not a paid agent. We should be humble and meek. Here, Narada is also. We should understand that he was humble and meek. That's why he was able to become a very pure devotee, and he became a spiritual master also. Now, as Brahmaji received the knowledge directly from the Lord, we'll be finishing in 5 minutes, dear devotees. And similarly, one has to receive, as Brahmaji received the knowledge directly from the Lord by satisfying him fully. Similarly, one has to receive transcendental knowledge from the spiritual master by satisfying him. The spiritual master's satisfaction means the assimilating transcendental knowledge. One cannot understand transcendental knowledge simply by becoming a grammarian. Oh, I'll read myself. No, it doesn't happen that way. Only unto one who is unflinching devotion to the Lord and to the spiritual master does transcendental knowledge become automatically revealed. Right? Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. We sing the Guru Puja, right? Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. The Divya Gyan will come through the heart from the spiritual master, right? So that's why Narada was not only well behaved, meek and obedient, but he was self-controlled. Who is not controlled, self-controlled, specifically in sex life, can become neither a disciple nor a spiritual master. One must have disciplinary training in controlling speaking, anger, tongue, the mind, belly, and the genitals. One who has controlled the popular senses, particular senses mentioned above, is called a Goswami. Without becoming a Goswami, one can become neither a disciple nor a spiritual master. The so-called spiritual master without sense control is certainly a cheater, and the disciple of so-called spiritual master is the cheated. So that's why we have to understand becoming meek, humble, and controlling, self-control. Narada as Narada. That will be very beneficial for us. Next, in this way. So actually, the thing is, Lord Brahma didn't start the creation. That will be narrated from the next canto. So here, what we discussed is how to become a proper devotee, right? How not to be conditioned, etc., about the transcendental nature of the Lord. And also we understood the Lord has a form, right? And we should relate everything to the Lord. And also we should search for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how we can do that? Through spiritual master. And what sort of qualities should we have to gain knowledge from the spiritual master? We should have like Narada, meek, humble, and control our senses. So next, in the next canto, what we will discuss is Lord Brahma will start. We'll understand the greatness of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. So we can learn everything from Srimad Bhagavatam. That we will, the greatness of Srimad Bhagavatam will be said in the next canto. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining. Any questions? Any questions or feedback? Please give.